I'm Mina from Kramp, and you're listening to Channa 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 podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of my podcast. We have a very special guest today, all the way from Madrid, Spain. We have Mina Walkure of Kramp. Hi, Mina.
Hi everyone.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine, and you?
I'm good. I'm good. So, Mina, how's the situation in Spain now with the COVID and everything?
Bad. It's just bad. I don't know how the media sees everything coming from Spain, really, but it's pretty bad. We've been through a couple of lockdowns, and there are some restrictions, and people is not taking them really serious. So there are new waves and new waves and new waves, and now with Christmas, they are allowing people to move more, which is not responsible at all. But people believes that with those permissions they can do whatever they want, and the COVID is gone. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be a while since COVID disappeared here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how's the situation with the music? Is the bands allowed to perform now in Spain or not yet?
Kind of, but not really. There's a feeling of that we can do anything about it, but there are some small venues doing some gigs with restrictions and healthcare and everything like that, but not many, like very few, and not very successful because they can't promote it very well. And like, for example, we released an album and we are not thinking about touring at all, and there are many bands that can't play at all. So I'm seeing very international tours that are supposed to come in the next months, and I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest, because
Right.
many venues are closing and they still have to pay, and the government don't do anything at all, and it's quite a hard situation. There's been some strikes from people that it's in the musical business, like techs and owners of venues and people like that, not only musicians.
Mm.
And it's people are angry. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, because the music industry is the one that was, especially the live music industry, is what hardly hit from the COVID, right?
Yeah, mostly. Well, I can say that because I'm in the business and I can notice that, but I'm sure everyone is suffering. But musicians, if we can perform live, there's more than half of the business going on there. So it's a catastrophe. Luckily, we have the internet and we can do stuff like that, like chat on a live stream or whatever, and
Mm.
yeah, helps somehow, because I try to imagine this crisis like 10 years ago or something like that, when there was not like Bandcamp, Facebook, or whatever. Um, the music industry will be gone
Right.
from my
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So when did you last performed live?
Um, I'm trying to think. More than a year ago, I think. I think, if I'm not wrong, the last gig was on 1st of December of the last year. I
Right.
think that was the last concert that we were playing, because we thought about playing a couple more of gigs, but the album was going on, and we decided to we'll do it another time. Yeah, we were thinking about going to Germany with Midnight Force and planning some gigs here and there, and it never happened.
Right.
Thanks, thanks to the universe that we didn't decided to plan those gigs, because that would be devastating to cancel everything, because it's a lot of effort and time
Right.
to
Right.
plan everything. Yeah.
Right. So, Meena, can you tell me a little bit about where you live? I mean, I just know that you're from Spain. So, can you tell me a little bit about your city, town?
It's complicated because I'm a nomad, kind of, and so I'm moving around the country. I'm not really in Madrid right now. I'm in Extremadura, and it's quite a different place.
Right.
To be honest, I grew up in the north of Spain in a tiny, tiny, tiny village in Palencia, uh, and it's really cold. People is cold. The weather is cold. And then I moved to that city, and that's where I started to try to find musicians. But it's also a closed-minded city, really small. People doesn't care really much about music. Then I moved to Madrid, and Madrid is completely different. People is from everywhere, so you can find a lot of people, uh, all the sorry, all the types.
Mm.
So there's bad people, but there's also many good people, and you can do many stuff there, and people is really welcome if you find the right people, of course. And now I'm here lost in Extremadura because it doesn't matter at all where you are now because
Right.
you can do anything. So yeah.
Right. So, so Mina, can you tell me a little bit about your, your childhood growing up, and then how did you discover the music, and I mean, ultimately, how did you discover metal?
um yeah, that's complicated. Sorry, like I already told you that I grew up in a really, 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 really tiny village with few people and really closed-minded. So it was a bit hard to stand out in any way, like in any way. There was a really religious background as well, so people will judge you if you did anything that they will consider offensive. Like they honestly, I still think that they live like 50 years in the past right now. Like they have really old traditions and they won't change at all. So that was really tough. I'm an outcast everywhere I go, so there it was more obvious for me. But yeah, well, I don't know how I really discovered music. I always loved music, and I was a child uh, performing and lip syncing with everything that was sounding around, even if it was crap music because I didn't had access to that. I remember that I got a keyboard toy, so I was playing around with that all the time. It was like the worst keyboard ever. Like it only had white keys, so it was half of a keyboard. But it was a nice start for me, like playing around and making some music. But I wasn't really conscious that I was doing music, so it was like a total game. And then I started to get more instruments on my teen years, and it was more serious, but still a game, kind of.
Mm.
And metal, I don't know. I don't really know how I discovered it because in the teen years it's kind of overwhelming and you don't know where it's going everything. But I remember my first song. The first song that really impacted me was Blood Brothers by Iron Maiden. I made some friends online. Like that was the only way that I can connect with people because
Mm.
that was really, really closed, ambient. So I didn't get access to people at all. I'm not really good friends at social interaction, so it was extra difficult for me. But I don't know how I met some forums and MSN pages and kind of stuff like that, and I get in contact with people around my age that had similar tastes and similar minds, so it was easier. And I remember that a girl sent me that song, that Iron Maiden song, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I was instantly in love. I knew some bands and stuff like that that were popular at the moment. Like if I was looking up early in the morning when I was preparing to go to school or to high school, I would get tiny access to a musical program on TV that was how do I say it? Like I couldn't get that reception very well, so it was like if I was lucky that day, I could see like snaps of it, but not the really the really programs. But I remember one day it was some stuff like Nightwish or Him or stuff like that, and I was like, oh, okay, this is sounding nice. I don't get my attention really full attention, but it's nice. It's nicer than the stuff that I know. And then that Iron Maiden song, that was what started everything for me because I started to dig and dig and dig and find more stuff and find more people that could send me more heavy metal music, and it was a rabbit hole about that.
Right. So, with discovering Iron Maiden, what were the other sort of bands that you listened to early on?
Yeah, I honestly listened to most of the bands that were easier to have access to, like Children of Bodom and I remember In Flames and that kind of stuff, because I was mostly taking everything that people were was sending me, so I didn't had like access to find CDs because I didn't had a place to buy it.
Mm,
So I was using stuff like Ares or a mule or things like that to download everything illegally like a pirate. And I was putting like metal and everything that will show with that tag. I will download everything, and there was the most random crap. So my early teen years were like a sponge absorbing everything and then making my own judgment with the years. So yeah, I was listening to everything that could get on my hands, to be
right.
honest.
Right. So, with regards to singing, like, when did you discover, like, when did you felt that you can actually sing, and you want to pursue singing?
I knew on I started with other instruments, to be honest, because I wasn't feeling really confident around my singing when I was 14 or so. So I decided like, okay, I like singing, but I don't feel like I can do that
Mm,
for real like that. And I decided to have a drum at first and then a guitar, and I was practicing and feeling like shit, to be honest, recording myself and thinking like, oh, this is terrible, I will never be able to sing on public, so I will try with instruments and so on. But when I was like 16 or 17, when I moved to the city that I was talking about, it's slightly bigger, but it was a huge impact for me, a big change, because the village was really tiny, and the next city, Palencia, was big compared with that, but nothing at all compared with Madrid.
mm,
So there I was like, okay, I have a new life here. I can think about maybe finding singing lessons or people to form a band or whatever with similar interest. Spoiler alert, I didn't find people, but I found a place where they were giving singing lessons. And so I started there. It was not the right type of lessons that I would recommend to anyone. Like they didn't have much idea, but that helped me to grow a lot because I knew that I could make something with my voice, not the right stuff, but I started to feel a bit more confident. Like, okay, I'm not going to allow people to manipulate my voice in the wrong way. So I need to really find my voice. And then I started to be stronger on that part. Like, yeah, I want to sing, and I will do everything I can about it to learn and be better, and yeah, and learn my voice to resume that.
right. So, I think I saw one of your videos that you said that one of the most influential persons for you was Dio, Ronnie James Dio, right?
Yeah,
So,
yes,
uh,
in every form, not only musical, and I will never get tired
right,
of saying this. Like, I really appreciate a good brain, a functional brain, as a person that can express his ideas and transmit something beyond that. And he was a charismatic person, but he was also a person that could light a room with a word. He will say the right word every
right.
time, and he had this amazing brain. I will never get tired of repeating this again and again, because if you see his interviews, it's amazing. You will never get tired of him talking. He could go through the grocery list, and it will be entertaining because he will give you something new about that grocery list. So yes, he was a really and he is an influential character for me. Yes.
Yeah, because I recently interviewed Magnus Rosen of Hammerfall, and then he told me that he had a chance to uh, work in backstage with Ronnie James Dio, and he always said that Dio was very nice, and he was very nice to everyone as well. He was not like arrogant. He was a very nice person also, even though he's like a
Yeah,
biggest rock star.
yeah, that's something amazing about him. I really think many people in the business, like the big ones, I'm talking about Bruce Dickinson, Steve Harris, Rob Halford, maybe not that much, but uh, like really humble. Like they know they're big stars, but if they go to shoe store or whatever, regular people won't get like, oh my god, this is a fucking god of the rock music. They won't get
Right,
that feelings. They are they have in mind that they are really big, but not everyone knows them, and like partial gods, if that makes any sense.
right,
And Dio was, or I think he was really humble. At least that's the feeling that you can get from him, and like really close, always uh, happy to help people and talk with them and transmit something like I'm amazed when I hear people like Leather Leon or Ambolen from Helion um, always paying this tribute to him. Like he was this big father for everyone,
right,
helping and caring and being there. Like or Doro or I don't know. Many people will have him like a big father in some way. Like he was always there or happy to say a word to you or give you advice. That's the feeling that I get. Of course, I never knew him. I never even got to see him live,
right,
sadly. But yeah, that's the feeling that I get.
right. So after taking the those lessons and stuff, so when did you actually started joining bands? What was your like first band?
Um, when I was still in my village, in my home village, I started to try to find people on my high school. That was terrible because I was the only. I'm not going to even say metalhead, but I was the only people who really stood up. It was the only one that was different. It was a tiny place. So I had a couple of friends that were really music lovers, but other types like pop music and yeah, it was a huge difference. But I was like, we need to form a band. You need to pick a guitar and you need to pick a bass, and we will form a band. It doesn't matter what we do, but we are doing something. And of course, never led to anything because we didn't know how to play first of all, and there was a huge difference of styles. But then I moved to Valencia and I made some punk friends. Uh, those were my first contact with alternative people, if you say like something like that. And there are not many metalheads in that town as well. So it took me uh, a lot of time to find a guitar player to really form what I would call a band. At the time, I was calling it a band. I dragged my brother like, "I we don't have a bass player. You need to pick a bass," and
Right,
he was willing to do so. He we bought a bass in the last minute, and he started to jam, and he didn't have any idea. But that's how he started. So that's a funny story. We didn't do anything in like I don't know, maybe that band was around like 6 months or so, and we were rehearsing on an awful place. It's a typical, how do I say it? Like a place where people store the wine, okay, but it's like a cave,
right,
and that's a kind of place that we have in the north of Spain. I learned recently that in the rest of the like the south or places like that, they don't have that kind of place like a cave where they store the wine, and it's like an ancient thing. Like
right,
my hometown and my home place is like really medieval in some ways. And we were rehearsing there, and it was super dirty with many like tables, chairs, or the more random stuff. So we took a really long time to really clean that place, put the amps there, try to do something. And when we really decided to do something, we were like, okay, we don't know how to play. We don't know what songs to pick to make a cover. We don't know how to start to write songs, and that was a fucking disaster. So after that, my brother and I tried to like find people here and there. We were jamming with some people. It didn't lead to anything, and we decided like, yeah, okay, we don't want to find a foreign band, and we don't want to just join some people that want to play just because. We want to make a heavy metal band. And we
Right.
started to try to find people, and that was a difficult moment. It took many time, and the lineup there was never complete. When we were having a couple of guitars, there wasn't a drummer and stuff like that. So yeah, the beginnings were tough. Yes.
Okay. So your brother, who is Lap, he's the bass player of Crab, right?
Yes, he is. The story is the one I tell you. Like, we need a bass player, and I made up band that I was yes, we went to the city next to ours one evening, and we decided to buy a bus. We didn't have money at all, so we bought the crappiest bass that was around. Like, it was terrible. And one
Right.
funny story is that he's a lefty, and we went to the store, and the guy that was there was like, "Oh, you're a lefty. You will need a lefty band, a lefty bass." And he was like, "What? Is that even a thing? I recently learned that it's a bass, and now I'm learning that there's a lefty version of it." So obviously we got a regular one, like a regular one, and he learned how to play like a regular player, not a
Right.
lefty. And he's like, okay, anyone not anyone will notice that I'm a lefty. And he also started to play cello after a couple of months, because someone told him like, if you play cello or bass, like bass,
Yeah.
acoustic bass, you will learn a lot about your instrument. So maybe you want to try that and get into the conservatory, um, and they will teach you music. And he did. And now he's a professional cello as well, celloist.
Right. Right. So back then, when you were like forming, how was the metal scene in Spain? Were there any famous Spanish bands?
Um, well, with famous, yes, of course, because there's a lucky part on Spain that we have all South America, who's also Spanish speakers. So for some bands, it's quite easy to get there. But if they speak Spanish, to be
Right.
honest, or on their singing, I mean. But it was very popular, a kind of power, this a Spanish version of power metal that I don't like at all. Like, it was chills of how bad those bands are for me. And that was the movement around that era, like in the 2000s and so on. Um, and yeah, some bands, like, the most popular bands are not heavy metal at all, like Mago de Oz or stuff like that, and they are really huge on Mexico or places like that.
Right.
Even in here, you get to see them on festivals, on popular festivals, like the city organizing them. Not only rock musical places, but the scene was awful. Like, those were the bands that were active, and the underground was really small, and the traditional heavy metal spirit wasn't really kicking. Like, there was some people uh, trying to do stuff and starting to form clubs and stuff like that, but it was really really hard. Like this new wave of traditional heavy metal that we get to talk about these days, that was impossible to think about. Like I was fighting against the odds. um so when I started to have the idea of the band, I was like, yeah, I want traditional heavy metal, and I know it's impossible in here. Turns
Mm.
out it wasn't that impossible, but at the moment that's how it felt, because no one was taking care of heavy metal. Like I will not say these more traditional stuff, but like modern heavy metal or stuff like that, it was quite impossible to think about. Yeah.
Right. So so how did the idea came for the band Cramp? So is it just another version of what you started, or it's a new concept? I mean, actually, I also want to know why do you name the band Cramp?
My mouse just fell. No, I had the idea of a traditional heavy metal band
Right.
from the beginning. I didn't know, I didn't really know what was going to sound like, to be honest, because I didn't had experience, like real experience composing. I was like playing, but I never wrote a full song before. Um, well, yes, I did, because when we started the band, I had some songs already written, but um I was just wanting to play heavy metal. Like for example, I liked Judas Priest, I liked Saxon, Iron Maiden, and I didn't know if my music would sound like them. Like I also liked Manowar, and all every band is a huge influence,
Right.
but I didn't know that I was going to create easily this epic style that US power metal sound or whatever. Like I didn't know. I didn't even consider that. I only knew that I wanted this traditional heavy metal sound, and that was what I was going for. Like when I was trying to contact with people, I was saying like, yeah, traditional heavy metal. Do you get that in mind? And they were like, naming the most random bands out of that spectrum. Like I'm not even going to get into new wave of British heavy metal or doom metal or whatever that goes into traditional. Like they were naming like new metal or core, whatever you name core, or death melodic death metal that was really popular at the time.
Right.
Um, and I was like, nope, that's not what I'm searching for. I want traditional heavy metal, and if you are willing to play that, it's okay. If not, bye, goodbye. Like yeah, but when I started my first song was Tale of Revenge. That was the first song that I really put together, like music and lyric, and with a beginning and end and everything. And I started to notice this some people call it medieval feeling,
Right.
folkish feeling. Yeah. uh, and there was some people around that was saying like, oh, that's power metal, and I was like, no, this is not power metal. In any case, it's epic heavy metal or US power metal or whatever you want to call it. I was not putting those tags that early, but I was like, this is not power metal. And the name was the most random thing. Like we need a name because we are playing soon and we need a name, and we made a fucking huge list, and we went through some names, and I said Kramp with a K, and they were like, that sounds great, do you have a logo? And I said, yes, I have a logo. And I sent him like the quickest logo. Like I honestly, the first version of the logo was super easy in like 5 minutes or so, and they were like, I love it, golden it is. And that's how the story goes.
Because it's actually the logo goes well with your type of music, because it feels like when I watch your music videos, I feel like I'm watching a video from the 70s, like, or it's like, because it's the how you shoot the video and how the lighting and everything, costumes, it feels like I'm watching maybe an Iron Maiden video, early Iron Maiden video, or something like that, right?
Yeah, I that's really a huge compliment for us. Like obviously, my main influence and my main collection is with music from the 80s of back in time. not really modern music. Like I consume that, but obviously there's so much hidden stuff on the 80s that I don't know, that I keep digging and digging and digging, and I'm finding new bands every day. So that's an endless gold mine for me. And obviously, yeah, when I think of traditional heavy metal, I think of the back in time, and I like the looks, and I like the way things were doing. Obviously, we have the technology of these years. We didn't really think like we're going to do this to look vintage or like a filter or something. Like we really this poor and we have shitty cameras, and that's how
Right.
it looks the video. Because we honestly we went like we're going to shoot the videos and see what happens. If it's good enough, we'll put the videos out, and if it's bad, we'll hire someone. But it turns out okay, at least for our taste. And yeah, like you say, it really matches our idea, like aesthetic and the composition and everything. So we're happy with the videos.
Right.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about the lineup? Who's in Cramp and
Yeah, okay. The lineup is always changing. It seems so. It's like the curse of the band. We want to joke like that because yeah, because right now when we are four, the band is thought to be five people, like two guitars. But right now we are me, my brother Lap, Sarah on guitar, and Albert on drums, and that's it.
right, right. So Mina, where does the inspiration come from for these songs that you write? Because it's all of the songs is, as you said, it's kind of medieval. All these like sort of epic songs. So where does that ideas come from?
It's funny because many people think that I write about fantasy, sword, and sorcery themes and stuff like that, and it's not like that at all.
Right,
Like I have some songs that are inspired by Conan, for example. That's really obvious because I put lines that come directly from the tales or the movie or whatever, and that's obvious. That's an obvious reference. But there are others that, for example, their chief fear is about Hellraiser, and nobody will pick that. And what else? What else? A Speed of Light. It's about an alien invasion. Like I wanted to do something really different, and I
mm,
felt like it seems to fit the music. I will go with that. Um, but yeah, inspiration comes from anywhere, like a movie, a book, something that I see on the street. Um, or I don't know, everything in general. Like I can pick anything and turn it to a song and make sense. But one friend like Leather Warrior, it's not about anything really epic for my taste. Like it's someone fighting against the world and being mistreated by it and by people and saying like you won't make a fool of me, beware, like I'm going to kick your asses.
right,
That's the song about. And you can honestly transport that song to any type of music and will fit. Like the lyrics, on my opinion, will fit any kind of aggressive music at least. But apparently I have this gift of making anything medieval. I'm really into history and stuff, and I really obviously like medieval things like weapons and history and
right.
the doom and the black plague we are enjoying here in Spain. And yeah, yeah, my dark humor. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry really.
Yeah, because I really like Leather Warrior because it's for me it's actually like an anthem for metalheads, right?
Yeah, I mean, many people see that. Like when I wrote Leather Warrior, I wasn't thinking on a about a community or a family or what or a group or whatever. I was thinking just one person as an individual fighting and saying like I was saying like yeah, you treated me bad, but I'm going to kick your ass. Be prepared and don't
Right,
think you can make a fool of me. Like one person and one situation. But many people, I've been reading some reviews, and they are seeing this metalhead community and metal spirit, like we're family and we belong together and stuff like that. The good thing about my songs, or what I want to think about them, is that everyone can make something for them.
Mm,
Like it's free to interpret it. Like we come back to Dio with Heaven and Hell, for example, when people were asking him, what is this song about? And he was saying like, what do you want this song to be about?
right.
That's the magic of music, or paintings or whatever. But in this case, music or my songs, you can interpret it whatever you want. If this gives you the feeling that it's about a family and you feel about it, or it gives you the courage to fight your boss or whatever, uh, go for it. Like it's free. It's not something that you should follow, or like close minded, like this is this and yeah, I need to believe this like this. It's not a fucking religion, so do whatever you want with this.
Right. So, you released your first album in 2016, right?
Yeah, we released an EP. Well, our official release was back then. It was an EP with 5 songs.
Mm,
We recorded something in the past, like demos and another EP that never got to see the light. But the official release was back then, and the lineup changes and me moving to find new people and all of that made it harder. Like we started really back then in the past, but it was hard to really put together a decent record to put to the world. Like this is an EP. When we were recording it, like we thought, okay, if this doesn't have the quality enough, we'll put it like a demo. Like we kind of try to do that, we did with the video. Like if this doesn't have the quality, we'll drop it and use it for another thing. Like, but yeah, the sound was pretty decent. Obviously,
mm.
compared with the album, is not that great, to be honest. But as an EP or as a demo, whatever you want to see it, it was a nice start for me.
Yeah. And one of the songs I like from that EP is, you have a song called Assault, right? So, can you tell
Yes,
me a little bit
yes.
about that song?
It's a funny one because on the EP, like Tale of Revenge, Leather Warrior, and Legend were songs that were already written when I was living in Valencia, and then I moved to Madrid, starting to try to find people, and I was like, okay, time to write new songs. But I didn't have the inspiration. I was going through a really, really, really shitty time back then, and I wasn't feeling like it. Like I was new in that town, I was alone, and I was strong because I was starting a new life and I was confident. But it was a hard time. And one day, I had so much fun over the weekend. Like it was fucking blast. Many concerts and many new people, and it was an exciting situation. And I was feeling super tired. It was a Monday, and I didn't had any job or responsibilities or whatever. I was just a young musician on an awful place with my guitar, my shitty amp, like a small one, like it was like this. And I said, I'm going to try to play something and record something, like using the most basic software to record stuff. Like I didn't had any experience, so I was like, I'm going to try something new.
Mm,
And that was a huge deal for me because I wasn't feeling really confident about my playing or anything. But I started to have this idea, this main riff of Assault, and I was recording with that software, and I said, okay, I have a microphone. I'm going to try some vocals. And the lyrics came up really, really quickly, and the idea came up together like in an instant. And Assault is a really important song for me. Like it marks the beginning of another era for me, like musically and personally. And this gives the new element on the EP. Like the other 3 songs were already written in a long past forgotten, not
right.
that forgotten. and then Assault was like a new beginning, and then it came Dare to Face Fear, and that's um, the difference on the EP, like the old songs and the new songs. And I know this is on the album, and many people tell me like, I see so much improvement and evolution and like that, and I'm thinking the evolution and stuff that you can see, it's really from many years ago, uh, thanks to Assault and stuff like that, because that's
Right.
the new element, but on the album not that much, on my opinion.
Right. So, recording that EP, and then were you able to? Where did you play? Did you play in other countries, or mainly in Spain?
Mostly in Spain. When we started, I tried to put together some gigs because not many people knew us. Like,
Right.
surprisingly enough, there was some people that was following us even before releasing the EP, because I was really active and trying to spread the world and the fucking shitty demos and stuff like that. Like, I was getting emails from France, Germany, Poland, places, random places. Like, I was like, okay, they don't know me in Spain, but they know me outside Spain, which was fun because we didn't have even an official demo, like a fucking physical demo. So it was crazy. And we played some gigs even before that, like on my hometown. I put together some gigs and we tried to play on Madrid, but that didn't happen. And when the EP was going to be released, I already had planned like 17 gigs or something like that, like a huge deal for a starting band, like an underground unknown starting band. Like, I was talking with bands and saying like, okay, can we organize something? Like, we didn't count on promoters and or stuff like that. it, it's mostly independent stuff, like do it yourself. I'm a huge fan of the do it yourself method.
Hmm.
And yeah, I wanted to do a presentation of the EP, and we did like a geek party or whatever you want to call it. Like, we played in many places in Spain. We even got to play on some festivals and contests and weird stuff. Yeah, everywhere when we were able to play, we were go like, yes, here we are. And the surprise came like 2017 was a really active year. The next one we tried to took it like a more relaxing, like um planning the album, but that didn't came out. So we were contacted by Midnight Force from Scotland, and they said like, we want to play with you, do you want to come to the UK? And we were like, really? Yes, of course we can, we want. And we went there and they came here, and it was fantastic. But the idea the idea at the start of that plan was like, okay, you're releasing a new album and we want to record our new album, and let's see if it's for that date. Of course it didn't happen. Like, we went only with the EP,
Hmm.
and the response we found was amazing. Like, I was thinking like, okay, no one will know us and no one will care about us, but it's a huge opportunity and we need to do that, of course. But we went and there was a huge surprise. Like, people knew us and care about us and had merchandise and everything like that. So it was fantastic. Yes, we got to go outside Spain with just an EP, and that's amazing and incredible for me.
Right. So finally, you put out your full length album, Goats of Death. So it came out early this year, right?
A couple of well, like less than I'm looking at the calendar. It came out like less than a month ago on the less or yeah, the 25th of November. It
Right.
was the release date. So it's a recent release, and I'm surprised of how people is getting. Like, there was a huge hype, it seems. And I wasn't expecting this huge massive response, but it's going amazing. I'm really happy. And with the end of the year getting towards us, we're seeing many people including us on the top 10 of their albums, their favorite albums of the year, and it's really exciting. Yes.
Right. Can you tell me a little bit about this? what do you think? What do you see the difference between your first EP and this album, Gods of Death?
Yeah, mainly the sound quality. I wanted to work with Cedric Forsberg on the EP, but it was impossible. We talked about it, but it was impossible. And I always knew that the EP could be better in terms of sound. That was the thing that was really missing, and of course the drums. And we changed that on the album. Like we still decided to go homemade recording. Like we we considered to go to a studio, but my brother had an accident and he hurt his arm, and we were like, okay, we're fucked. We can't go to a studio. So Cedric told me like, don't worry, there's plenty of time and there's way to do that. You go, you record your stuff on your own homes, you send it to me and I will take care of the sound and prepare you the album. So we did. Obviously it was a long process for us to record the album. Like we didn't had any experience, real experience, because we recorded the EP at our houses. But I was, for example, using a microphone that the old guitar player lent me, and now I have a microphone that is for vocals, so that changed.
Right.
And it took us a long time. Like we didn't know how to put the tracks and stuff like crazy stuff like that. But at the end we found a way, and it was easier than the EP, but also more work for me because this time I was taking care of the tracks to prepare those to send to Cedric, and it was overwhelming at some times, but I'm really happy. I'm really happy of how it went. Obviously, the main difference that you can see is the sound. At first, you notice this amazing sound, and I don't care what anyone can say about it. If they don't like it, they can lick my ass, honestly, because it's a great sound. I'm really proud of it.
Right.
Uh, we did it on houses, and we sent it to some guy in Sweden, and he took care of the sound, and it sounds amazing. Like we didn't spend uh, time on a professional studio or whatever. So it's amazing what you can do with technology this year, this time. And the drums, of course, he also plays the drums on the album. It sounds amazing. He's now playing officially as a regular member on Crystal Viper drums, and obviously he's amazing at what he does.
Right. Right. So, with the pandemic and had to stay home, and then you cannot go and perform outside. So, what you been doing? This period during the lockdowns.
This is really fun because my life hasn't changed at all. Like I'm I'm a hermit. I live in a room and I don't do anything outside. Well, yeah, obviously it changed. We cannot rehearse. I
Right.
moved to another city due to the crisis, and um, we haven't seen each other like in the band like since March or so, like fully together with my brother because he still lives in Valencia and the rest lives in Madrid. We haven't seen each other even further from the last gig on December because Sarah wasn't on that gig. So the full band together maybe from the UK tour, maybe like more than a year.
Right.
And that's obviously a huge change because we used to rehearse a lot every week, and I got an excuse to go outside. And um, yeah, obviously Madrid was a city that you had many opportunities about anything. You will never get bored on Madrid if you have the will to not
Right.
be bored. Like you can do whatever you want. And I was going out, like going to record stores or finding new places with my boyfriend and exploring the city. And now we're here home watching series, and obviously I'm composing and painting and doing craft and do it yourself stuff like I've always done. So I don't really feel overwhelmed by the pandemic or the lockdowns or whatever because I can live in a small box.
Right.
If I have the right stuff, I'm really introverted and I don't really care about the outside world. But obviously, I can travel. I can go to another city to see my brother or wherever, and it's really a pain in the ass on that aspect.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know that you're also a graphic designer, and then you do illustrations as well, right? So I seen your DeviantArt profile actually.
Oh,
And then I saw this video you put out where your convert, like you transform this wrestling Seth Rollins figure into
oh yes.
Lobo, right?
Yes. I'm a huge Lobo fan. Like I told you, like I really enjoy crafting and do it yourself stuff and painting, and I take care of all the graphic stuff on Kramp and many other bands and labels. Like
Right,
I That's part of my job. Like I do many things, but that's my official job. But yeah, it's kind of a weird situation, but I do that. And yes, what you're talking about, like it was my first attempt to transform a figure or a toy, and we were on one of these exploring missions that my boyfriend and I went on Madrid. We were into a toy store, and we found this ugly wrestler. It was a huge figure, and we thought like this could be an amazing Lobo. Lobo, the DC character of the comics,
right,
and I always wanted to try to transform like a doll or whatever because I'm really into doing things with my hands. Like yeah, and he said like we can record this and he's also he has a YouTube channel and do stuff like that. And he said like okay, we're going to try. Do you want to try? And I said of course I want to try. I get to do new stuff and I love making new stuff. And we bought some materials and really cheap material because we always go with cheap if we can. and and I did that, and it was a fucking amazing experience. Like I want new toys to transform and create new stuff. And obviously, my main choice was Lobo, because many people when they are asking me about comics or whatever, they think that my favorite character will be Conan, which of course
right,
it's on my main shelf. Like I have many Conan comics, but Lobo is a great reference for me because it's um I don't know if any is familiar with the character. It's like a Lemmy version of on comics or something like that. Like
right. It's very
this
heavy
guy,
metal, heavy rock and roll, right?
yeah. He also has like a radio station on his head that only plays one metal song on loop. Like I really, I really feel familiar with that because when I get one song on my head, like I can get rid of that. So and I can get really obsessed with one song. So it's really funny. And he has this very badass attitude. Like it's almost like reading a Twisted Sister like video clip on a comic, and it's always really fun. So it's my favorite comic character. Yeah, it's
Right,
not a hero. I'm more this anti-hero
right.
person. Yeah.
Actually, a Lobo reminds me of Danzig.
Yes. Yeah, because of the muscles and this
Yeah.
attitude, like I'm a badass. And yeah. Do you know the if you're familiar with the comic? There's a comic that Lobo's back, like it tells the story of Lobo back in time. Yeah, but the artwork of it shows the best, like what people call these days like battle vest with the patches and stuff like that, and it says "Bite me, fanboy." And
Right, right.
I did before the figure. I did many years ago with a cheap vest that I had around. I I painted that and I wear this around, and people people really think that I'm saying them to bite me, and it's like no, that's not what I mean. It's a funny situation every time that I wear that vest, and many people asking me if that's a band or whatever, and it's really funny.
Right. You mentioned Conan the Barbarian, but you also like Cena, right?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of Cena. Like Obviously, I'm a 19th child. I grew up in the 90s, and Cena was huge back then. I first knew Hercules, and
Hmm.
that really got me into mythology, which is another passion of mine, like Greek mythology. I love mythology in general, but Greek mythology is one of my biggest passions. And Cena is like a reference for me. Like not a, I know the limitations of the show, but I love it because I love this spirit that old series had. Like
Hmm.
they didn't really care about making holes on the plot. It didn't matter really. It was
Right.
like we're doing this because we want to do that. And the character, of course, is amazing. And Lucy Lawless is an amazing actress, and she was this gorgeous Amazon fighting the world and not giving a crap about anyone. And yes, wearing leather. I think I quote Cena, the whole series, as one of my main reference, like in wearing leather and my taste on men. Like you get to see areas full on leather and studs, and that was a really heavy metal look. Like obviously, I got to find some old sword and sorcery movies back on the 80s when the warriors were looking more like rock stars than barbarians. Like, where the fuck a barbarian will get a bracelet with studs? Like, it's crazy imaginary stuff. Like, it
Right.
doesn't really make sense on a real story, but it makes sense to your eyes. So yeah, we'll leave it like that. And they look more like Rolf Halford, like than a true warrior would look, but it doesn't matter. It looks awesome. And Cena, of course, on image and stuff like that is a huge reference. Yeah,
Right.
I love that show.
Yeah. So 2020 end of 2018, I was able to go. I was able to see Judas Priest. They came to Asia, so they came to Singapore. So I was able to see, and all the leather, and then all the motorbike was there on stage when they played Painkiller. So uh, it's so amazing that that sort of music is still existing, right? And it's still good.
Yeah, it's amazing, and mostly because of the 90s. And many people demonize the 90s, like the heavy metal, the traditional heavy metal was almost gone, and grunge and new
Right.
metal and stuff like that was racing. And it seemed like heavy metal was dead, but heavy metal will never die.
Right.
And then more stuff came, like there's a fly around, like this symphonic wave with ladies wearing corsets and trying to sing opera and stuff like that. So
Right.
it seemed like bands like Gravedigger, for example, Saxon, were playing really small venues, and it almost seemed like their career was gone. Like, except changing singers and trying more commercial styles, like more hard rock vibes. And it almost seemed like those bands were gone, like Judas Priest, Rob Halford was gone, and Iron Maiden and Bruce Dickinson was gone for a while, and stuff like that. And now there's this whole resurrection, like really strong, and I hope it's here to stay, but maybe it's another wave. And I don't know. Maybe with the internet, things are changing and more people have access to this. And even if it's uh, a trend thing right now, maybe it will drag enough people to stay and make a more decent stay, if that makes any sense. Like,
Yeah.
um, people nowadays have access to more information. Like, obviously, without the internet, I will not know any bands that I know, or at least not at this level. Like, my whole life depends on the internet, and that's my font of knowledge for everything. So I really hope that works for other people as well, and they get Iron Maiden and Judas Priest as, for example, as their main reference, and that is here to stay.
Mm.
Like, they're strong these days and playing huge stadiums and stuff like that. That was not possible to think about like 10 years in the past. That will be crazy. And obviously, we get to see more bands making their comebacks, like old bands like Kirit Angol or Manila Road, that were almost forgotten in a way. Like they were never super big, but now obviously Manila Road are gone, but Kiritango are playing like huge festivals, and
Mm.
nobody was giving a crap about them. And this is amazing, and this is, on my opinion, because the internet allowed to make a huge um, snowball effect. Like the um, like people get to talk with other people with similar interest, and this create this new level of transmission of information, which is amazing. And I hope it's going to make good for heavy metal. Maybe it's another trend to come and kill heavy metal again. I hope it doesn't happen.
Right, right. Although you play traditional heavy metal, I saw that you actually listen to a lot of new music as well, right? New bands.
Yeah, I try to. Obviously, I like music, and I like classical music, and I like folk music, and I like that whole this new wave of how they call it, like new retro wave, which is this 80s synthesizer music and stuff like that. I like music in general, and I only ask for music to have good quality. But
Right.
obviously my main taste goes for metal, and in metal goes for traditional heavy metal. I'm not a big fan of some styles. Uh, but yeah, I'm trying to be open minded, and if I feel like writing music in another style, I will do that. But obviously, my main influence and inspiration and everything like that is heavy metal, and that's the music that I consume the most. Yes.
Right. So, Mina, I was checking your YouTube and I saw that you're doing some YouTube covers, and I really like the songs that you choose. Like you choose Spinal Tap, and then you did Manowar, uh, and then really appreciate you did the Temple of the King, right? The Rainbow.
Oh, I'm a huge Rainbow fan. Like, when I quote Dios and as my main influence, many people will think about Black Sabbath or Dios era, but Rainbow is my main band. Like, I love everything that Rainbow released, except for the last two songs. Well, these new songs that they released, that we can forget about that. But Rainbow, I will say it's my favorite band because everything from Rainbow I like. Like, for example, maybe I enjoy more Manowar or Iron Maiden or whatever, but they have songs that I fucking hate. That I
Right.
fucking hate, and that doesn't happen to me with Rainbow. So that will remain as my favorite band forever because of that. And obviously, I love that album, and I love the on vocals on Rainbow because it's pure magic. It has like we're talking again and again about this medieval feeling, and Dio, maybe I feel this way about Dio because he had this medieval feeling around him, like on aesthetic and on lyrics and sometimes on music,
Hmm.
and to and he was able to incorporate everything and make a traditional heavy metal like that, just simple as that, but with this influence. Like it was not directly sounding medieval per se. And yeah, of course, I love to sing Rainbow, and that was one of my main choices.
Hmm.
I've been doing YouTube covers for a about a decade or so, but those were in another channel, like the old Kramp channel. The one that
Right.
we're using right now was my main channel, and I was uploading stuff there. And I thought this should be in another place, so I created this channel like some years ago. And from now and then, when I feel like to, I just upload songs that I'm singing around, like rehearsing at home or whatever. Sometimes I do really prepare a bit more, but most of the time I just plug my microphone and decide the song on the moment and just put my camera recording and upload it. Like one of the things that I did during this first lockdown, we were not able to go outside except for the hospital if we need so, or to the grocery store. So not even like put the garbage out. So it was crazy. and I was really frustrated because I was thinking about the album and how are we going to do this and how we're going to promote and stuff like that. And I wanted to rehearse, and we were not able, of course. So I said like, okay, I'm making my own challenge. Like I'm going to record a cover per day until we're of this lockdown. And I started to record songs every day, and it was fun. It kept people entertained for a while, and myself, of course. And I tried to always choose my favorites. I don't really care if songs or the bands are popular. And then I find some surprises. Like I could go with something more mainstream and always choose Scorpions or Iron Maiden, and I know that people will show interest about those songs. Uh, but I prefer to maybe pick Omen or Spinal Tap. Those are not this popular,
Mm.
but bring me some joy. And then I find some surprises, like when I did the Black Lace cover. Of course, it wasn't planned, but the band somehow found it. Like in the moment that I uploaded it, they found it and they shared it, and they were like, "We loved it," you know? And it's like, how the fuck did you find it? Like, how did you find it this quick? Like not in time, like in the same moment. And it was amazing. Like it gives you some surprises as well. Yes, obviously I do not take this whole cover thing. I take it like more like a karaoke party on my own house. Like
Right.
it's just about me having fun and not giving this much attention to I'm going to make it perfect. Like, or only having fun. Yes.
Right. So, being a female metal artist, so how is the response from the metalheads and people?
Obviously I cannot talk from other side because I'm a female. I've always been a female, and I don't know how it could be seen on the other side. So yeah, for me, the normal thing, the regular thing, is to be a female in this world because it's the only thing that I know.
Right.
Obviously, there are some assholes, and obviously there are some people that support that or just support me because I'm a female, which doesn't make any fucking sense. They should support me because they like my music or they like my way of singing or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, well, of course, from time to time you see polarized people like in both sides, like super supporters or super haters just because I'm a female or because Sarah is a female. And obviously it doesn't make any sense. She's a guitar player. If you close your eyes, you will not never know that she's a girl or a woman or whatever. So yeah, I try to not think that much about it. And obviously you get to see in many reviews like there are two girls in the band, blah, 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 and try to put this female front tag that I don't really like because I don't think in music from the members. Like I only care about the music, the style, and
Mm.
what they are producing as a product, not as their own people. I don't care if they are female or they're aliens or ducks, to be honest. So yeah, I don't really pay much attention. I how could I pay attention? It's like saying that, how do you feel being a blue eyed person playing metal? That doesn't make really much sense for me.
Right. 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 So, Mina, what's your message to the people who support you and listen to your music, watch your videos?
Well, of course, big thanks. Thanks for being there and liking my stuff. And I hope you really enjoy it and have a good time with it. We obviously are happy that people are finding this peace or enjoy in these times with our music, like finding our music. We receive many messages like people that are saying like you saved 2020, and it's huge obviously because this year sucks a big deal. And if we can provide this peace, we're here to stay, so expect for more.
Right. Anybody you want to shout out to?
um well, this is a surprise. Of course, I want to shout out to everything that Cedric Forsberg does, like rock and roll and play some stuff. He's amazing. He's an amazing multi instrument and whatever. And apart from being a producer and everything like that, um, let me think. Um, and oh, for example, I recently bought the new Road Wolf album, a new band from Austria. Well, new band, you know, and they are amazing, and they blew my mind. Like, it came out recently, the album, and it was like, holy shit, this must be on the top 10 of any list that are made on this year. So yeah, Road Wolf. Listen to Road Wolf.
Right. So Mina, this is great that I was able to talk to you so far. We were supposed to do this earlier, but find somehow it got delayed. But now we were able to do
Yeah,
it.
don't worry.
So I'm happy that we were able to talk to you, and that I really enjoy your band's music. So keep making. I hope that you will put out new songs, and then you will be able to tour soon. Keep making great music, and then tell everyone how they can follow you.
Of course, we're in every social media like Instagram or Facebook. You can find us put it Kramp with a K. And we are also on YouTube. You can find us there. The full album is there on Spotify. And if you want to buy your stuff, you can write us or go to our Bandcamp, or we have a website when we have a merchandise section, and you can buy everything there, from t-shirts, patches, the album, CD, whatever, the vinyls and tapes. We still have to receive those because COVID fucking
Right.
again and again. But yeah, you can place your orders, and thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for having me here. Finally, we've been like chasing each other like a cat and mouse, but finally we were able to do that, and it's been great. Thank you so much for having me here.
Right. Thank you, Mina. Stay metal.
Stay metal. Bye.
Bye.